Hey guys, Chief here, and we're going to be doing a bit of a walkthrough of StatChief itself today and explain some of the tools and features for beginners who might not understand how things work. I'll get straight into it. If you go to statchief.com, you'll get this homepage here. So you'll see there's multiple codes that we have. So currently, AFL is probably the most completed. We will start doing NRL a little bit in the coming month, but I just want to try and get AFL finished since most of the people coming to this site are for AFL. I've had a couple people reach out on X for NRL, so yeah, we have a few items here already for NRL, but compared to AFL, it's a lot more. So when you get to the homepage, you'll see there's a player search, so you can just look up a player. If your recent searches will also get saved. We'll get to that in a minute. So the core tools, we have a planner, so that'll probably be the next video that I do. Walking through the 5 rounds and understanding what the buy planner does and the quick planner and so on. The AFL fantasy one is in progress. I did start it. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it off yet. But these four, they're pretty solid, so you can start with those if you'd like. Going back, we have YouTube videos. So if you want to watch these videos on the site, they're going to be saved in here. So you can always check to see if there's any new videos. There's guides. So from the last video, I was explaining the buy guide. We will be doing post-season, and there'll be plenty of pre-season videos for next year. I might try and do a few more throughout the season, just to try and get a good catalog going, but I'll have to think of some ideas on what I can do for these. But for now, post-season recap and a pre-season, like looking at players, rookies, and so on, they'll definitely be in there. My team, so this one I'll release. I did release a new update just yesterday, and I'm gonna be doing a new dashboard for this, probably by tomorrow. So this is the one where it will pull in your team from Supercoach, and it will give you a dashboard with in-depth analysis of your actual team, how players are averaging inside your team, looking at what trades went well, what trades went badly, what you could have improved, and it'll give you some DVP and some suggestions based on what the upcoming round will be. So I've started on this. I've gotten the team import stuff done. I just haven't finished the dashboards, so they'll be done by next week. So guides in my team, you will need a basic. I want to change it to be called premium, but you'll need a paid account just because this does take me time to do throughout the week. I can't have thousands of people doing my team. It'll take me a long time to sort all that out. So if you want to get it, you don't have to get it. So you can still use the planner if you want. The my team is a little bit nicer if you really want the analysts, but and analytics, but you still do it with planner if you'd like. And then the guides, that's when I put some personal effort into actually creating some documents for you guys. Players, we'll get to that after I go through the rest of these. DVP, this one is one of the most popular ones for sure, and I'll come back to this one in a bit, but it's you guys have probably seen DVP by now. It's defense versus position, so essentially that means you have a ruck, you have midfielders, kick-in takers, wings, so on, all the positions. Players will get bucketed into those positions, and we try to find in Supercoach whether a team is more favorable or less favorable for the matchup. So, for example, contested mids against the Gold Coast Suns has been a +12 matchup, and that's probably because Rao hasn't been playing a lot. I think Noah has been down. Petrarca, not so much of a contested player. So if you click on the row, you'll have a pop-up, and you can then open it to see recent players. So Clayton Oliver, he scored 113. His average was 104. So he had a +8. Newcomb had a pretty good game. So it it sort of aggregates these into one number, and that's sort of what you see here. So again, you can go through any of the teams. So you can also just sort by overall and see the Suns is probably one of the hardest matchups at the moment. Hawks has been a pretty bad matchup, except for key defenders, but I think only Wilkie's relevant for that. Um, Same with Lions. So when you're matching up against these teams here, it's probably not going to be too good. On the flip side, the bottom teams on the ladder, they're very beneficial. Like they'll give you a good score. So like plus 20 nearly, plus 19 for Rucks against West Coast Eagles. Like we saw Cherry at 200, and a few other. I think Gorn went 130. So it's a guide. It's not going to be an exact number. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I give you the actual data of what we're using to get to that number. So if you want to look more in depth, you can. It shows you what differences happen in this game. So for playmakers, they get 40 meters less, and they normally get a less kick on their average. And then it also shows the number of players we used for the recent games for them. You also have home and away if you want to do home and away. So it could be helpful if Gold Coast are going to be having a lot of games at home. You can see that they actually give up a lot at home and away. They actually don't give up that much away, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, you can go through that. Fixture is basically what the upcoming run's going to look like. You can then sort by home and away again, or you can sort by overall DVP role. So if I want to see what the ruck run will be looking like for each team, or let's say all mids, and let's sort by average. So Lions actually have a really good run coming up for mids. So they got Frio, which is a decent matchup. They should get the average, and then you got a plus matchup, and you got another 3+ matchups towards the end of the season. So like Collingwood coming up here, they have a 3-4 in about 6 games, so that's pretty solid post bye run. You can then go into kickers and see again. Hawks don't really have anyone relevant, so Port neither. So maybe Parker has a really good post bye run. So that's actually one to watch if you're thinking about getting him in after his bye. He's going to be probably averaging above his normal average at the moment. Same with Dale. I think I've looked at Dale before as well. So he's got a lot of blue matchups. So the color coding just sort of says if it's blue, then it's really good. If it's red, then it's probably going to be bad. Like -14. So Geelong don't give up much to kick in daggers like Whitfield and Sinclair. You also have venue if you want to see how each field works. So this is really good during the Tassie games or the gather round if you want to see how certain fields fare. Like not many teams play at Norwood, so if you wanted to see for like Norwood games, say you wanted to do a captain, you can have a look here. And then top 100 is just the top 100 players averaging, and we exclude all the rookies and so on, so we can have a better understanding of how the primos are scoring. So for example, West Coast was 19, now it's 26 when they're versing Gorn, Grundy, Cherry. So this is a bit more relevant, I find, especially for captains, because obviously you're not going to be captaining, a random Ned Reeves or something like that. You want to be looking at the big dogs, and this is essentially all the big dogs. So this is really useful as well. Jumping back, we'll go back to projections. So this is another very popular one that people go to for knowing what captains to pick for the week. Sometimes because I do the projections before the injuries come out, sometimes the players will be injured, and I just don't redo the projections. So maybe that's something I can adjust in the future, but it's just a guide. It's not guaranteed. So Cherry has a +5 matchup. This is his last 3 verse, and then at the venue, and then last 5 overall. So it's got really solid. This is one of the reasons I got him in. And even if you look at the next 5, his average DVP over the next 5 is a 5.8. Shizu and LDU have a 7.5, so that's pretty solid. And that's one of the reasons I brought him in this week. So yeah, you can use it for captains this week, or you can look at trade targets coming up. And if you expand it, it shows you what they're like what they might project. This is just a guess, but you can see DVP and so on. Okay, so we'll go back to the players. I'll get the teams in a minute. We do have games, so this is not live. For live, I've just sort of been using footy scores. I haven't really bothered to put in a live point tracker during the game. I just really enjoy what footy scores is doing, so I just don't see a need to do it at the moment. So this is gonna be done after the game, and it just projects what the price will be, and you'll project what the break evens will be. So you can come in here and have a look if you want to see how McCluggage is going to go next week. So it's not exact, but it's going to be pretty close to this. Likewise with Smith, 600k, so he's probably stays around what he was, and then 96 break even. And you can look at the heat map, you can look at their rankings. So overall he ranked number 1, and for midfielders he ranked number 1 for Supercoach. Obviously there's only been one game, so at the end of the week you can come here, it will show you what the scores will be. Same here, number 1 and number 2, because there's only been 2 teams, but at the end of the week this will update, so it'll show you 18th and 1st. You can see how teams go. Hawks, I have seen, have been really high scores, even though the points are very spread out. They tend to take up a lot of Supercoach points. That's probably why they're so low for DVP, because they actually take up a lot of points from the pool. You can also see CBAs, kick-ins, rucks, same stuff as footy scores. And then I've added in the full team heat maps, so you can break it down to Q1, seeing how the ball was moving around in Q1. You can then hide all these players and say, I just want to see McCluggage, Dunkley, Neil, and Will. Alright, so this is how those guys went. This is the areas they covered, and then you could probably look at Ocean and see where he was running. It's a bit of information if you want to look through it. You can add multiple players here, handball receives, and so on. Yeah, so that's the games. And now the main one, I'd say, is the players. So if you go to the players tab, you'll see 3 options. So top scorers from the last round, lowest break evens for the upcoming round, and then we have trending players. So this is what people have been visiting. So it's 1 person per visit. So if 1 person visits 5 times, it just counts as 1. That's just to give it a bit more accurate reading. I don't want someone spamming it just to get this guy up to 1,000 or something. So yeah, McCluggage was really high viewed this week because of his pricing, and a lot of people brought him in this week. A lot of people also looked at rookies and if they should trade him out, so they try and project their scores and see how much money they could make or lose. So we'll go into Max Holmes. We have the buys up here. This will automatically get removed once their buys are done, so if you want to know when a player's buys is, you can check here. The games tab, so this isn't I call it the stats grid. It's just the averages of their current season, but you can filter and edit it. So if I click his last 3 games, you'll see it's for the last 3 selected games. I can also unclick them. 116 average in the last 3, 33 touches in the last 3. 30 touches, or 29 touches, 33% CBAs, 12.7 handball receives, and so on, right? You can go through all those. You can add, a bunch of random games. It redoes all the stats, not just the Supercoach points. So it's pretty useful. You can also go to stats. So you can... Firstly, you can toggle on a bunch of stats that I'm not showing by default. So if you want to see ground ball gets, or you want to see, let's say, total clearances. So it adds it in, where did I here? So he's averaging 3.5, and in these last three he's averaging 3.7. So you can add those in, and then you can go in here to filter. So if you want to filter by season, obviously it's already done 2026, so let's do games where he had 25% CBAs at least. So when he has a minimum of 25% CBAs, he averages 100 over his whole season. So if I exclude other seasons, let's just say last 2 seasons, yeah, so he's averaging 112 when he has 25% CBAs. So you can play with the filters however you like. You can then come in here again and pick, and you'll go to the 3. So you can filter out some of the games based on a broader filter, and then you can come in here and select individual games if you want as well. You know, if you know that he got tagged for one of these games, you can sort of exclude it or something like that. You can also do filter without a teammate. So if I do without, let's say, Humphreys, it filters all the games out. So he's only already had 1 game in the last 2 years without Humphreys. With Humphreys, like all the games this year basically, and he averages 116 still. So yeah, pretty useful if you want to see the stats. Say, you know, Flanders playing without Nas, he's currently on 120 average for St Kilda. See how that goes, but you can also add in any other combination if there's an injury. So Noah and Rao, you can check here. Matchups against, so I don't really know who to match up against. Let's see, Finn Callahan. So 3 games he's played against Finn Callahan. You can see GWS 3 times. So these 3 games is also when Finn would have played, and you can see averages 103. So this is really useful for tags. If you want to see, how does Dacos come up against Mullen and Windhager and so on. It's really useful for that. Cool, so we've got fixtures. So this one brings in the previous DVPs into the actual player's fixture. So you can see how the run's going to be just for this player. We have Holmes as a midfielder, but you can swap it to whatever DVP you want. So we know he's sort of a kicker now and sort of a midfielder. He's a bit of a mix, but we can see his upcoming run for kickers is actually kind of low, and I think he got like a 90 this week. So yeah, he probably gets a tag here, I'm gonna guess. But yeah, his post by run is pretty solid, has a lot of blue, but his upcoming is probably not going to be too ideal. But he should still score well, just because of his hybrid role. So it's just a reference, like something you can look at if you want to make a decision, but it's not going to be exact. Sometimes some different things happen, you know. So for midfielders, like, he's actually got a good matchup coming up, but for kickers, he has a bad matchup. So he'd probably be somewhere in the middle there, based on whatever his role is. So it's very useful to use that. You can also click on this button. It will show you the last 3 games at the venue and the last 3 games versus the team. So yeah, like he got 149 against North at GMHBA, and then his last time against Sydney he got an 83, 88 and a 45. So he's at his versus is really low, but his at home is really high. So you can sort of put something in the middle there. Heat maps, like the other heat maps from the games page, but this one is just for the player. You can see there's handball received. So if you come down here, it shows you what each of the items are. You can also click on the item to see what was happening. So this was in quarter 2. You got a handball receive, and this one you got an effective handball. So if it's red like this, it means ineffective. C is a clanger. Mark kicks, and these lines mean that he kicked it to someone on the mark. So someone marked it here, and this blue dot just means he kicked it here. Someone might not have marked it. They probably might have knocked it to the ground, or they might have spilled the mark, or you just kicked it to a contest or something like that. And it's just trying to guess whatever that location was, because we don't really know. Because sometimes, for this kick, he might have kicked it in and he might have gotten knocked out. It doesn't really count where it went. It's just trying to guess. So if he doesn't know what the next contest is within 3 seconds, it's not going to put a line. If it has something, so someone might have gotten a handball out of here, it's going to say that's where the ball went. And these solid ones are just where the ball went for handballs. Okay, and you can also open this up to see the chains. So he had 4 chains with Myers. He had a handball to, handball from, and a kick mark from. So Myers kicked it to him twice, and yeah, you can sort of add up to see how they're going with certain players in the team. You can also do the standard ones if you'd like, if you prefer those. It's pretty similar anyway. Like this one's just got more details, so I prefer to use this one. You can stack them as well. So the reason that these ones are off the field is just because the grounds are different sizes. So when it does the coordinates, it's trying to do 2 fields at the same time, and obviously MCG is bigger, so it's going to say it's off for GMHBA, but it's actually still on the field. So it's a bit tricky trying to figure that part out, but if I add this in and get rid of this one, you can see it's more closely on the field. So yeah, it's another reference you guys can use. Price projector, this is probably the most popular thing on the whole page. Like the whole website, this is the most used, I'd find. This and the planner. You can customize these if you'd like. So if I've not got a correct detail in, or if you want to play with the modifiers, you can change those, but this I find to be pretty accurate. I've added in the live score, so it takes whatever they might have scored in the previous game, and you don't have to put it in manually. So you can come in here after a game to see what their price change is going to be, or you can go to that games page and you'll see it there as well. You can then change the upcoming fixtures. So I'd say that he probably gets like 100 with a tag, maybe less than 100. So he could drop to 550k within the next 2 weeks, and he'll probably be a good pickup after his DPP. You can share it as well if you'd like. You can just copy it and add it. So if you've done some research and you want to save it, you can download it. Same with the games. So if I wanted to say his last 3 games and I wanted to share it, yeah, so it will show these are the rounds I selected and this is what his points were for that round. So this is how I do the photos for Twitter. You can download it. So if you've done some research and you want to save whatever it was, you can download it, come back to it later. So that's pretty useful. CBA, so I've put the CBA data within the player's profile, so you don't have to go jump to the teams and jump between a bunch of pages just to find the data. It's just all in one place, super quick and easy to move around and do some research. So we can see he's done pretty low CBA numbers for his last 5 games. Bailey Smith's probably the number 1 midfielder in that rotation. You can also do center clearance and CBA attendances. So this is his clearance rate from CBAs. You can see he got 2 clearances out of 12 CBAs last game. So 5 out of 13 is pretty high. So I think roughly 10 to 15% is the range for most midfielders. There was some that's like 19 to 20. I think Sarong or Rao recently were pretty high. So yeah, that's how these numbers are generated. It just looks at how many clearances they get from CBAs. Contested possessions and tackles. So this is good for contested mids if you want to see, how good. So Bailey Smith has really high contested numbers. So that's where he gets a lot of his points from. Same with clearances. So he's pretty good at clearances from the CBAs. And then you can go and look at other clearances and stuff in the games tab as well. Kick-ins. So kick-in play on. You can see he's been getting a lot of kick-ins recently, and it looks like Stewart's been losing them. So 3 kick-ins, 1 play on. So Stewart's not been playing on much, but Holmes had 5, and it seems to be a lot of split. Smith had 1. Interesting. So there's been a big split recently in the last round. We'll see how that goes going forward. Kick in disposals. So how many disposals are from kick ins? So no, he only had 2, but for pigs like Luke Ryan or something like that, it'll probably be higher because like Whitfield, he had like 10 kick ins the other day, so 10 out of his 30 touches was kick ins. Um, Effective kicks and uncontested marks. This is useful to see who's been chipping around at the back a lot because obviously that's going to be ineffective and uncontested. They'll tend to rack it up a lot. So Stewart, a lot of effective kicks, 6 uncontested marks. Yeah, it's pretty decent. If you look at someone like Luke Ryan or something like Essendon boys, they'll probably have a lot higher numbers, and you can see how their gameplay sort of shapes how they get their points. So it's just another interesting thing to look at. Rucks. So Rucks, they have the same CBA and contested, so that's useful for, Rowan Marshall and Cherry. They're probably pretty dominant in these. But you also have ruck contest percentage, so what's the ruck split for the team? What's the hit out to advantage for the team? So Holmes doesn't have any hit outs, but he does have 2 ruck contests, so that's why he's come up. Obviously Mitch Edwards is the main ruck. Splits, so it just goes through the last seasons. You can swap it between opponents, venues, results, win-loss, so on. See how he fares against certain teams, and so he's done 100 plus for the last 2 seasons, and this current season is 116, so it's his best season at the moment. So yeah, this is just nice to see quickly. You can also open it to see the actual full stats as well. Yeah, so then that's pretty much all the player stuff. If you jump over to teams, so if I go to the pies, similar thing as the player. I don't really use this as much. I tend to look at the players more directly, but you can come here to see overall how the team's numbers are looking. So it will just be the same CBAs without the highlighted player. Same, all these are the same, and the fixture just has all the DVP roles. We do have injuries as well, so it will show their recent injuries. You can also check the medical room on AFL app. That's also useful. High-low, so this is a 30 round rolling window to see whoever's scoring the most and least points for against the team. So Rao scored 156 last year in round 18, and Noah got nearly 150 in the same game. And we can see, Trento probably got injured here, but Luke Parker, not really a prima, but let's say Nas, around 2026. So this season he scored a 63. So you can see, kicker, semi kicker, like mid forward. You can see how they're pretty down in scoring against Collingwood, and contested mid. I mean, he's here again, Sink. Miller is here again. Contested mid. Just gives you a bit of a rough idea of what a ceiling score could be against certain teams. Not massively used by me, but if there's something in there that you find interesting, you can go ahead and have a look. You can also press this button to swap between teams quickly if you'd like. Yeah, so that's a quick run through of part 1 of how to go through StatChief. I think next one will be through the planner itself, since that's so popular. There are other tools, so there's compare and match up, so that's already within the player profile, but you can use that separately if you want to do like multiple players comparing, like 3 or 4 players. You can do that here. Chains, this one's just pretty simple. It just looks at handball chains and kick, like it's a leaderboard for the whole league, not just one player. Stocky, okay, so Stocky I'll probably do in another video. So I'll do planner next. I'll do guides and teams and Stocky in the 3rd video, and then a Chief AI will probably be another video itself. So this is one of the things I've been working on just for fun, but it's gotten it pretty good at the moment. You can sort of ask you know, let's see CBA numbers for Carlton. It will actually use API in the back end to figure out what your ask is and then try to give you a structured response. So we can see Cripps as number one for CBAs, 77%, and then Walsh 70%. And you can ask, you know, more questions, or you can start a new chat, similar to how, you know, ChatGPT sort of works. So that's still a work in progress. It's at a good stage, but I think I'll do another video when it's at full release. Don't forget you can make an account if you'd like. You can sort of save some players here if you want to have a nice screen to see all your players. This team import is only if you have the My Team set up, so you can come here, edit, and you can do a search for your team. So I'll select it, and then each week I will go and grab your team, and then you'll see it in the My Team dashboard. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video in a couple of days.